More than 400 people have been killed and hundreds more are missing after a typhoon caused landslides and flash floods in the southern Philippines. Typhoon Washi hit the southern island of Mindanao late last night, sweeping entire villages into the sea. Helicopters and boats are still searching for survivors, while 100,000 people have fled their homes. Ros Upton has the details.
Homes destroyed as the families inside them slept. Authorities warned a typhoon was on its way, but no one living here expected it to carry so much rain. The swollen Cagayan River in northern Mindanao swept away more than 300 houses built along its banks. Bridges no match for the rushing water. Sandwiched between the river and the sea in their city of Cagayan de Oro, hundreds of people simply didn't stand a chance. More than 430 are known to have died. Others managed to climb onto their roofs to escape the rising flood.
The water reached the roof. You could see the light. People were using flashlights. They destroyed the ceilings to get to the roof.
The storm struck in the dark of night. Many people were in their beds. 90% of Filipinos are Christian, and some were enjoying their Christmas parties yesterday evening, only to arrive home to find their houses submerged, their loved ones missing. More than 260 people are still unaccounted for. Agencies on the ground estimate 100,000 people have been forced to flee their homes, parents carrying their terrified children in their arms. Thousands have made it to temporary evacuation centres, but aid workers say they have insufficient food and water. Soldiers have been drafted in to rescue those who are stranded.
Ating namang Navy and Coast Guard are scoring the areas, particularly in the between the river and the sea. Helicopters, they are also conducting a rescue operation right now.
Aid agencies say heavy rain fell for 12 hours and rescuers were unprepared.
The helicopters came in only around almost noontime today. And so can you imagine if the water started rising at 10 p.m. last night at a level that, puts people at risks. And then early in the morning, there were still no helicopters to really assess the situation.
Do you think more people died as a result of the element of surprise because this region isn't used to having storms such as this?
Oh, yes, definitely. Definitely.
Tropical storm Washi is the 19th to hit the Philippines this year. The Mindanao region usually escapes these typhoons, but last night there was no such fortune here. It's the early hours of the morning now. The rescue effort will continue at daybreak, but the death toll is expected to double.
And that was Ros Upton reporting. Well, just before we came on air, I spoke to Anna Lindenforce from Save the Children in the Philippines over a rather crackly internet line and asked her how bad the situation was.
We don't really know to the full extent at this point in time, but we're really concerned about children and the situation there. The reports that we're getting is not very hopeful and bright. I mean, it seems like it's really a very serious situation.
And is that because of the flash floods more than the winds and the danger in those floods simply overwhelming children who are unable to get out of harm's way?
Exactly. I think most people's perception about the typhoons and storms is the wind, but it's really the water that is the problem with the flash floods and also the landslides.
And have they been made worse by flimsy construction, by the fact that some of the dwellings in these villages would literally be made out of a few bits of corrugated iron? Exactly.
The poorer you are, the worse houses you live in, the more difficult it is for the houses and roads, etc., to sustain the water when it comes.
And clearly you're trying to get supplies there. What are you looking at in particular? What do you need and how can you get it there?
We need to make sure that children are with their parents, with their families. We need to make sure that they're dry, so they have a blanket and a roof on top of their heads. We need to make sure that they have food and clean water to drink and eat.
You could put this into some context compared to previous typhoons, let's say.
I think the challenge in this typhoon is that it's in an area that we're not prepared at all. And it's also quite an inaccessible area, as you mentioned earlier, so it will be challenging to work there.
Anna Lindenforce from Save the Children in the Philippines speaking to me earlier, and apologies once again for the rather poor quality line.